All right, we are live. Let's go. I was watching some interesting stuff. It said that Kanye West is working on, or he was working on, designing a hotel, which I thought was very interesting. Okay, what is this? Oh. Was it a Malfi? What is this? I'm curious. Wow, this is really cool. This is really cool. This is definitely attracting the best talent. Introducing Design Waterloo. A directory of you, Waterloo, and Laurie's best design talent. Your next design hire is awarded in tone. Link below. Find a crafter. Pod directory. Pod on campus org. Sheffield. And I've been hard at work bringing this into life. I need some internships with Figma, Claude AI, Cursor, Next.js, Sanity, and a whole lot of love. Sanity, what is Sanity? All good backend. Okay, we're hearing about Sanity. We are hearing some stuff about Sanity. Okay, this is really cool. Could you do it the other way around? A company can throw a 10-hour project on, and designers can bid for them. It will be for a price, and if the test project goes well, they will get hired as an intern next term. I'm not going to DM 40 potential interns. Come on, but I do have work. Interesting. I need yesterday, for real. Let's say a 1K project. Very cool. First, they came for the engineers. Another one. Good vibe. Alex, Rubber, you mad? Co-founder of Trican Lab. Apple. NASA. Okay. And Parth is a friend. Chief Love Officer. Parthematics. What is Candlelab? Friend challenges, widgets, and games for friends and couples. Daily in just 5 minutes, backed by YC. Try Candle. Feel closer every day. Upload the last photo of them that made you smile. Wow, okay. New date idea, San Francisco from June 5. Skip past the small talk. Icebreakers that end a little unhinged. Show them your inner hypotheticals chaos. This is actually really cool. I think Facebook tried to build something similar. What was the app that Facebook built as part of the new experimentation team or new product experimentation team, where Meta built an app for couples? Wow, it removed the... So this is really smart. It's really smart. Whisperflow is really smart. Okay. Built a couples focused app called Tuned. It was private space designed for significant others to message, share photos, exchange music, keep a kind of digital scrapbook just between the two of them. Tuned wasn't part of Facebook dating itself, but a standard experimental messaging social app developed by the NPE team. Really cool. And what's the other one? Whoa. The Verge, TechCrunch. A Pinterest competitor. Okay, I'll message Parth quickly. Okay. Now we go back. We go back. Eden Chen, exceptional people make it easy. Michelle Liu. Michelle Liu is Figma campus lead. Yes. Love by couples. Together for 6 years and some account got us having brand new conversations with just a few days. That's why how fresh and connected we feel again, like we're dating for the first time. I think it's pretty cool. I think we need to do, it's very interesting. We should do pretty much something similar for family as well. I think I love what I'm doing with my family, but also I think you need to go slow but consistent. You need to go slow and consistent for things like this. It is really important. It's very cool what they're doing over here, and it's like a Slack bot that you already have a channel of conversation. Like let's say your existing channel of conversation is iMessage, obviously, and like you want to keep it very simple. What's the rawest form? What's the simplest form of conversation you can have? That would be your iMessage. And then if somehow you can add a bot to iMessage that does this daily reminder kind of thing, that would be really helpful. And similarly, I have a WhatsApp group chat with my family, and everybody's posting over there, everybody's helping. So it's like it has to be a living organism. It has to be a living organism, and that's how you make it beautiful. With my girlfriend, I have 200 plus streaks on Duolingo. Candle has brought the same feeling of fun to the daily ritual of getting to know each other deeper. We actually just hit our 100-day streak on Candle too. Wow. Arjun and Haley. Nicole and Ben, my BF and I just started using the app. Weirdly great questions. We have been learning new stuff about each other daily. Funny Japanese gardens, lands. Dating us wanted to break from swiping. We're not together, but I download candles just for fun. They're like, oh, we're not together, but we'll still use it. Very cool. Artemis. Okay, there has been an update over here, right? 2 is a 10-day flight test of SLS and Orion that will send astronauts farther. I was reading farther than any human mission before. It is the next step toward returning Americans to the lunar surface and building sustained missions at the moon. Elon. How he cross-pollinates knowledge between... This was a good question. Like, yeah, how does solving different hard problems in interdisciplinary fields helps you just become better and better at problem solving? Cross-pollinates knowledge between his companies. This is a superpower I've had to solve a lot of problems in a lot of different areas, which you get to this cross-vitalization of knowledge and problem solving. What is true in another area is a superpower in another area. If you take, say, volume manufacturing of complex objects in automotive industry, how to work on solving that. It's like being superhuman. Rockets are made in very small numbers. If you apply automotive manufacturing techniques to satellites and rockets, it's like being superhuman. Advanced material science from rockets and apply to automotive industry, you get Superman again.
When translated to the space industry, it's like being Superman.
It's like how a kid talks. Then you're Superman. That's Superman.
Because rockets are really hard, meaning marginal numbers, right? If you apply automotive manufacturing technology to satellites and rockets.
Really cool. The Florida-based company Digital Beauty brand Eye Polish unveils smart color-changing press on nails. What? That can flip between over 400 shades in as little as 5 seconds. The game has been changed forever.
It's incredible. It's one of the first ever digital game here. So the thing I made about getting my nails done is that by the time you're done, they have a color on the change it.
Oh my god. I'll have to share this with this one person that I know. Okay. I'll quickly share this thing. Need to find it first. Boom. This is such a tech bro thing, but okay. Skills of the 21st century. Let's go. Wow, Opus Plus Cloud Code Mobile is letting me reach new lows as husband and father. Really cool. New lows. All right, let's see. Skills in the 21st century. How long is this? Wow. 2026. Let's go. 2026 is the year of X articles. Okay, we're here. There's been a lot of debate online around what the future of skilled work looks like in a world of agents automating much of the tasks that we do today. With all the examples we have seen. By the way, we have also changed the profile picture again. I know this is not, what do we say? This is not updated. This is not updated version over here, but this color, this deep blue, this color is called blue nuit nuage 50. Blue nuit, blue night, nuage, cloud, 50. So blue night, cloud 50. It's the color, it's a deep blue color of Audemars Piguet, the watch, which is just very aesthetic, very aesthetically pleasing to watch. So that's a good update. And yeah, we'll keep updating things. We'll keep updating. We'll keep experimenting, and that is the way. I really like TVPN is doing something very interesting. TVPN is doing something very interesting where they are going for brand refreshes constantly, while sticking. Yeah, they're constantly going for brand refreshes, but it's still looking similar. It's brand refreshes. What's the right way to say this? By the way, what color I would like to go for is this deep blue color with silver. That would be amazing. That would be an amazing combination. But anyways, and that looks very similar to the maroon and golden that A16Z is going for. It's pretty cool. A16Z came up with this really cool aesthetic, and it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so much stuff is happening. Wow. Oh my god, what is this? You gotta repost. Tech Master trawls to the future, brings stuff back to you, building the biggest tech community past Indian Army. Yeah, what is this? Luna Deskmate. It's really cool. Okay, we'll go A16Z. A16Z posted. Wow, the power brokers. A16Z and the rise of the future. What is this? Not boring. Not boring. Okay. The power brokers. This also looks very interesting, so we'll also look into this. There's a story about Mark Andreessen that I think perfectly captures A16Z. 2015, when New Yorker writer Ted Friend sat down. So many. Make the case for nominative determinism. While writing tomorrow was advance man. Friend had just heard from a rival VC who wanted to get a word in that A16Z's funds were so large and ownership percentages so small that to get 5 to 10x aggregate returns across its first 4 funds, they would need their aggregate portfolio to be worth 240 to 480 billion. When I started to check the math with Andreessen, he made a jerking off motion and said, blah blah blah, we have all the models, we are elephant hunting, going after big game. The aggregate portfolio did not end up being worth 240 to 480 billion. Funds 1 to 4 had a total enterprise value of 853 billion at distribution, or latest post-money valuation since distribution. Facebook alone had added 1.5 trillion in market cap. Some form of this pattern keeps playing out. A16Z makes a crazy bet on the future. Those in the know say it's stupid. Wait some years, turns out it's not stupid, which is why as A16Z announces 15 billion in the fresh funds, it's probably a mistake to dismiss them as greedy or stupid. It's probably worth understanding just exactly what it's trying to build. That's what I do in today's not boring deep dive, the power brokers. Really cool, really cool. I don't know why. Why is it not very? I think he has definitely prompted this to not look like it's fresh, but still, why is there a lot of pixelation going on? In order to return 5 to 10x aggregate across your new 15 billion funds, you would need to make the entire US tech industry multiples larger than it is today. Yes. The 4 funds in question. Wow. Fund 1, Stripe, Slack, Skype, Asana, Zynga, Apptio. Fund 2, Airbnb, Facebook, Pinterest, Fanatics, Box, Groupon, Databricks, Coinbase, Pinterest, Lyft, GitHub, DigitalOcean, Affirm, Samsara, Wise, Instacart, Reddit, all hits. My favorite part of the whole essay is the subheader. How long did it take to come up with this? A16K word essay on A16Z on the day of A16B fundraise. That was just a moment of divine inspiration. It just hit as the essay got longer and longer, and we crossed into the 16K word mark. Wow, a 60. Oh my god, a 16K word essay on A16Z on the day of A16B fundraise. Wow. Wow. Pure divine inspiration. A divine hit of inspiration. Okay, I cannot do that. A divine hit of inspiration. I wish I could come up with something. A divine hit of inspiration. Wow, this is really cool. It was just a moment of divine inspiration. Wow. Packy the Divine Oracle McCormick. That's my name. Don't wait out. This is your best company profile, and what is really the best one about A16Z in its history. My man from the king of new media, and one of my longtime favorite collaborators. I will take that. For the love of God, Packy. Page count at 280 words per page. 66 pages. What this really is. This piece is not an article, it's a short book or long form monograph. Do you know how to read? 1K is disclosure and stuff. It's time to build. But who are the A16Z American dynamics and luminaries leading reindustrialization in order? BS. Whoa. BS multi-interdisciplinary studies. BS finance and emphasis. BA public and international affairs. Anthropology, government, public and international affairs, economics. What is he saying? Why they're failing now in aerospace, defense, and advanced manufacturing. First, founded and run by engineers, not just founders, engineer founders. This influences how they design the firm to feast on scale and network effects, and also how they pick markets and the companies within them. I am curious. What was the response here? No response. Okay.
Like a big idea that we had was that venture capital was discipline as a platform engineer. We always thought, wow, a much better product would be give me
Let's look at this. Here's the case. Names are the first story we hear about ourselves before resume. Before choice, a name arrives, it gets repeated thousands of times, usually by authority figures, often with expectation baked in. Names are labels, but labels are also lenses. I think this is very interesting. I think Elon might be using nominative determinism because he names his kids like that. His name, he was explaining how one of his kids, the two of his new kids are Strider, Shaker, and Comet, Azure. Very weird name to call a baby, to call your kids, but Strider is Shaker. If the meaning does make sense, if the meaning does catch on, it would be interesting to see that how that shapes the personality of the kid as they grow up. If you're named Victor, the word itself hums with outcome. If you are named Grace, people treat you gently before you have earned it. If you are named Hunter, no one's surprised when you move decisively. Hunter. I think that's true. That's true. If somebody's named Hunter, like there's a guy, Hunter Weiss, and when you are named Hunter, you become that personality. Hunter is a big one. No one's surprised when you move decisively. None of this is mythical. It's social conditioning at scale. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Behavior compounds into identity. Implicit egotism does the heavy lifting. I'll fulfill the name. Name act like Napoleon. Napoleon, I'm curious. What does the name Napoleon mean? Very curious. Let's go. Complex little saga inside it. Ancient Greek name Napoleon, built from neos meaning new, polis meaning city. Oh my god, Napoleon. New city, Napoleon, polis. So at its core, Napoleon means man of the new city, from the new city. Think fresh foundations, new waters, urban ambition. Napoleon. That Italian, the name evolved into Napoleon, especially common in medieval Italy. By the time Corsica handed it to France, it has acquired a sharper imperial ring. Stopped being neutral, it became symbolic. Today it evokes towering ambition, strategic intelligence, self-mythologizing will, the audacity to reorder the world according to one's own geometry. New city, world builder, energy. Really cool. Feet caught in marble, it's gravity, not a script. Society collaborates in the prophecy. You underestimate how symbolic humans really are. Nominative determinism doesn't claim your name decides your life. It claims your name slightly biases your attention, others' expectations, and your sense of identity, and those biases compound.
The firm, like a big idea that we had was that venture capital was disappointing as a product for venture capital. We always said, wow, a much better product would be give me like the network to be confident in the advice I need.
I don't know why the caption sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Run this fucking thing.
Ben, I'm really happy to be back here doing this. I got to be in the same room with Mark earlier in the year, and I'm really happy that you're doing something.
Right now, I'm glad to be here. This should be some fun.
Can we start with your relationship with Mark? Because I think it's like a super unique thing where you guys actually work together, you know, running companies, you built this firm together, you have a really unique relationship. I can think of that many examples where I feel like I've seen it in that sort of equal.
It's really cool. I feel like they're definitely using Riverside magic audio. They're using some sort of magic audio over here because the mic is really far, but the quality is still very studio quality.
Wait for so long, can you talk about it a little bit?
We've been working together 30 years, and I would say.
Very cool. But let's go over here first. One debate online around what the future of skilled work looks like in the world of AI agents. Actually, let's see. Just summarize for me. With all the examples, we like to go down and then see if it makes sense to read it. Oh, it's actually not that long, but let's see. And here's the amazing thing with AI, just as it makes the experts far more capable than before, it also makes it so anyone can learn to become an expert much faster. Frames as AI lowering the floor and raising the ceiling. It means anyone who is motivated can now learn how to do amazing design if they want. The tools that every young person now is available to them is unprecedented. Anyone, if they so choose, has a complete tutor available to them in every skill on the planet. When I was growing up and getting into building websites, it was only by sheer coincidence that my neighbor Ultimately, a box co-founder happened to be a programmer that could help multiply my skills. Everyone has their neighbor available to them 24/7. For the first time, because of AI, George Lucas, someone developing AI worlds that have never been seen before, producing a level of entertainment that would not have been possible even a couple of years ago. About tens of millions of dollars. The same will be true in life sciences, finance, and every other technical field out there. This is the greatest time in history if you're curious, resourceful, and are fundamentally want to learn and pick up new skills. Skills don't go away in 21st century with AI. The leverage you get from them have only gone up. Just as today we think of Code-Gen as a 10x productivity multiplier for CS degrees, in a year or two we will be thinking of CS degrees as 10x productivity multipliers over Code-Gen AI. Depth of knowledge. What tasks to give them, how to frame those tasks, how to know when those tasks aren't being executed successfully, what to do after the AI has delivered the task. Critically, being able to hold a full mental model in your head of what the agent is doing, where it should go next, what good should look like is the critical judgment necessary to produce real value with agents versus just use them to take shots in the dark. Expert lawyer knows when advice for a case would be impractical or when the AI should be overridden due to subtle nuance about a situation. Back to submit to architecture dead end that won't scale for future features. Message that will resonate with their core audience best. Fundamentally different in the future. Will barely recognize the things that the experts are typing into their machines to do their work, but all the underlying knowledge and skills of what they are doing and why will be as necessary as ever. We'll expect more medical breakthroughs, require better expertise from our healthcare providers, and bar will just rise in essentially every other domain out there. Working demos of boxes EV embedded into a customer software. But now it's a quick task. Trend propagates across the market. Customers will soon expect similarly customized experiences when they're pitched by software companies. A new set of more creative and elaborate tasks become required as part of solution engineer's job. AI is lowering the floor and raising the ceiling. What you can do is more. What you are able to learn, you can learn more. 100% of his contributed code was written by Claude. It's been better to be a highly skilled in a particular field. When you assess what an engineer does today, the process is far more complex than just writing code. Putting all the work together successfully. Offload to the drudgery parts, freeing up more time for the work that is fun and delivers the real value. A subsistence farmer might look at today's jobs as way too easy and trivial. The lawyer from 1982 might imagine how easy law has become and devoid of critical thinking or research. No less of a need for experts to help with all this work. Interesting. Jobs is not tasks. History already ran this experiment. Every automation made parts work easier and paradoxically increased expectation, expanded scope, raised demand for experts. Lawyers had disappeared with computers. Engineers didn't vanish with cloud, open source. The work just muted and became more sophisticated. So he's talking more about packaging. He's talking more about packaging. That packaging individual tasks, you can direct AI to do the individual tasks, but still the packaging has to be done by a human. And the conversation, this actual selling part, is very human, where two people trust each other, decide to enter into a handshake business, and then move forward. No one to delegate tech when the AI is wrong, recover from several failures, chain outputs into real world value. Skill is the real leverage over AI. His memorable inversion soon will think of CS degrees as a 10x multiplier over code gen AI, not the other way around. So more people can enter a field. AI raises the ceiling, so experts become frighteningly effective. Expertise becomes control leverage on manual labor. In plainer terms, AI turns amateurs into juniors and experts into force multipliers. Strong agreement from builders, engineers, designers, founders echo the same level experience. Isn't just typing speed anymore, it's taste, judgment, and systems thinking. A mild correction from skeptics. Entry-level roles may still compress even if senior leverage increases. The Reese post doesn't deny this, but reframes it as a retraining. Expectation shift, not a dead end. Excitement about accelerated learning. People latch onto the AI as a 24/7 tutor idea. Faster paths to mastery, earlier exposure to real complexity, less gatekeeping. Founder mode, optimism. Small, sharp teams, one expert plus agents can now outproduce entire departments from a decade ago.
Our civilization is built on technology. It is the glory of human ambition.
We invent a new technology.
Internet is the superset of meaning rather than need an infinite.
So the future of the internet over the long term is everyone connected to everyone else, able to do basically anything. Learn, play, trade, correspond. Technology is our birthright and our spark.
Who said technology is our birthright? Oh, Market Reason. Okay. No. There's another guy who has been confirming in his techno-optimist worldview the idea that humans are meant to build, extend, and compound capability through tools, and that restricting technological progress is a moral mistake, not just an economic one. It's not a luxury of leverage, it's an extension of human agency, as fundamental as language or fire, just running at silicon speed. It's not a luxury or privilege, it's an extension of human agency, as fundamental as language or fire.
It's time to embrace the future.
In 10 years, we probably won't even be talking about the internet. We'll just assume it's there.
This is very cool. This reminds me of this YouTube channel that is basically taking, or in general, there are these Alan Watts videos, or Alan Watts, let's say, videos, which are really cool. It's basically just his speeches. It seems like he has a bunch of people and he's kind of like giving a speech. They're pretty cool. And either they're real, or you have an AI generating that speech, replicating that speech, and just to add that real Alan Watts touch. It is not just in his voice, but it also is in the same, it's not like magic audio where it's like studio sound. It still has that crisp, it still has that effect, such that it is recorded in 1980s or something with that bad microphone, and that texture is still there. It's very interesting. It's something that we heard about in this podcast with Russ, that when you do sampling, there are two options. Either you create that sound and make and use some texturing, like artificially texture it to look like in 1970s, 1980s, or you actually pick up a sample from 1970s, 1980s. And he's like, even though we have all this technology, but you still can replicate the same raw, rough, like texture of the actual audio versus the artificially created one, which was very interesting. If you can sell a feeling, you're no longer just selling a product. Every project we work on starts with one question. What do we want the viewer to walk away feeling? From there, we work backwards.
You know, if we don't start it, then we're going to try to do it ourselves. No one else is going to do this.
I actually told you.
So if you look at the great technology companies, the thing that distinguishes them is the ability to keep coming up with a better way of doing things.
Something like we can actually create
This is Fifi Lee.
infinite universes.
We're no longer in this era of good enough is not. It's like good enough is not enough.
If we could build a computer that is intelligent, maybe we will learn something about ourselves, about our own consciousness.
Maybe we'll learn something about our own consciousness. Interesting. What has building AI helped humans learn about our own consciousness? Mirror with logic engine bolted on. Every time we try to make minds out of math, we learn something awkward and eliminating about our own. Intelligence is cheaper than we thought. We once treated intelligence as a sacred peak, then gradient descent, started writing poetry, passing exams, and chatting fluently. A huge amount of what we call thinking is pattern completion plus memory at scale. Reasoning looks less like divine spark, more like compression with feedback. Reasoning looks less like divine spark, more like compression with feedback. Doesn't diminish humans, it clarified us. So this is weird because AI is responding to me about AI is responding to me about what humans have learned about itself. So this is kind of weird, but let's see. Consciousness is not the same as competence. AI can do astonishing things without any inner movie playing. Lesson performance is not experience. Doing is not feeling. To sharpen the question we use to blur, consciousness is not about output quality. It's about subjective presence. AI forces to admit we don't even have a good measuring stick for that. To sharpen the question we use to blur, consciousness is not about output quality. It's about subjective presence. AI forces to admit we don't even have a good measuring stick for that. Language is a prosthetic for thought, not thought itself. Large models reveal how much reasoning rides on language scaffolding. Lesson. Language is a tool consciousness uses to stabilize itself, share itself, and rehearse itself. But it is not the seat of awareness. Humans confuse fluency with understanding, because our own thinking leaks through words. AI exposed the leak. The self is more modular than we like to admit. We assumed a unified I being cognition. The self is more modular than we like to admit. We assumed a unified I behind cognition. AI systems work as stitched together modules: perception, memory, planning, evaluation. Humans look suspiciously similar. What we experience as a single self may be a well-coordinated committee with a press secretary. What we experience as a single self may be a well-coordinated committee with a press secretary. The press secretary is the voice in your head. Meaning does not automatically merge from intelligence. AI can optimize endlessly without caring about why. Meaning is not a property of intelligence. It's a property of organisms that can suffer, care, and die. This reframed consciousness is deeply entangled with embodiment, mortality, and stakes. Minds without skin don't ache for meaning. This reframed consciousness as deeply entangled with embodiment, mortality, and stakes. Minds without skin don't ache for meaning. We don't understand ourselves nearly as well as we thought. The hardest part of building AI was not computation. It was deciding what counts as understanding, alignment, intention, and awareness. I'm curious about what does LMArena actually cancel that. What is the goal of LMArena with all the new funds that it has raised? Wow, that is really cool that you can just say cancel that. Here's the essence of what LMArena plans to do with the fresh capital. It's raised, build the world's go-to AI evaluation infrastructure. Gold standard for real-world human grounded evaluation of AI models. It raised a lot of money for AI model evaluation, which is very interesting. So it's not even doing anything, it's just the tester in the middle. Millions of people worldwide put models head-to-head in blind comparisons and vote on which one performs better. Crowdsourced leaderboards that reflects how models behave in practical use, not just in synthetic benchmarks. Scale the platform and community. The new funds, total funding into about 250 million and evaluation of 1.7 billion are earmarked for expanding engineering and research teams to accelerate product development, improving infrastructure and performance so the platform can support even more models, modalities, and global user activity. Okay. Enhancing user experience, richer evaluations, more ways to compare models, deliver deeper model insights for developers and enterprises, infrastructure for AI labs and companies, unbiased human-informed feedback on model quality. Something static academic benchmarks often miss. Interesting. Very interesting. Give me the website. Yeah, right here. Boom. What else we got? Fueling the world's most trusted AI evaluation platform. Phyllis's and UC Investments, University of California. Wow. E16Z, House Fund, LDVP, Client Perkins, Lightspeed, Venture Partners, and Lord Ventures. Push responsible and transparent AI progress. Grow beyond a research project into a sustainable business. Most trusted AI evaluation platform. Momentum driven by community. Okay, very interesting. Grow beyond a research project into sustainable business. Momentum driven by the community. Fueling the world's most trusted AI evaluation platform. Studying the frontier, Arena expert, the next stage of AI coding evaluation. Introducing Vision Arena categories. Studying the frontiers, Arena expert. Vision Arena categories. Going beyond a research project into sustainable business. Research experiment from UC Berkeley. LMArena. Commercial entity. Pursuing revenue streams tied to evaluation services for enterprise and research partners while continuing its public leaderboards for the wider community. By democratizing benchmarking, letting everyday users participate and making results public and transparent. Ground AI evaluation in actual human preferences and use cases. This contribute to broader AI accountability and more trustworthy advancements of models. This is really cool. This is really cool. Where is your Twitter? And this is news.LMArena. I want to go straight to the website, LMArena.ai. Okay, follows on X. Exactly, very good. So if you're looking for, I will follow, will retweet, and sweeve. Alright. And what is it? Ground AI evaluation, actual human reference to use cases. Broader accountability, more trustworthy advancements of models. Find the best AI for you. Build a simple minimalist photography portfolio. Whoa. Code Arena, the next generation of live coding evals for Okay, so let's actually run our IKEA model over here. Let's see. LMArena. Find the best AI for you. Mistral perplexity. Compare answers across job models. Alright. Your conversation certain personal information will be disclosed to multimedia providers. May otherwise. Boom, go. Terms and service. Agree. And something is happening. Cool. Alright, LMArena. Cancel that. I already followed you. Make an app that translates the Swedish names of IKEA products into simple explanatory English product names. Assistant B, Assistant A, define the scope, key features, data collection. Alright, so Assistant B just started going. Assistant A seems to be doing a lot of, I don't know if they both are same or these are two different things. What's this one? Donate. Wow. A prompt may be shared publicly to support AI research. Whoa. Oh, it already is doing that. Oh my god. I thought it's asking me for permission. That do you want to donate your do you want to, I thought it was asking for permission, but this is like no. We're already doing it. Upload images. Tools you can use. Or like a prototype code example, a simple web app or mobile app to get started. Wait, and this one just create a web app that translates IKEA. So this one just started to go and build Ren's sheepskin rug, Strand Mon, Yursta. Wow, so this one just went. Okay. Leaderboards. Okay. Hot off there, 150 million Series A. Emil building Arena. Whoa, founder of Arena. Yeah, that's a good name. Open platform community driven AI benchmarking, graduated from UC Berkeley. Live won the first 10 podcasts. GPT-4 released on a platform before.
Unless they're true experts in their domain.
Interesting. LMArena has a Colosseum logo, which is very interesting. And something has happened. Left is better. It's a tie. Both are bad. Right is better. It's a tie. Simply copy the entire code into an HTML file. That is a DeepSeek. This is January 26 chatbot. Wait, I should have actually said, can I do a reevaluation? Because actually the right side is better because it actually built the thing. Ask follow-up. Simply copy the entire code into HTML file and open it on any modern web browser. No additional setup or dependencies required. Okay, so these are two different assistants. And DeepSeek is definitely better. Okay, got it. Leaderboard. Can I go back over here? Yes, I can go back. Okay. See how leading models stack up across text, image, vision, and beyond. Okay, so it doesn't tell you. It just straight up asks you for a response. This is pretty cool. This is actually really cool. Okay. Stack up across text, image, vision, and beyond. This page gives you a snapshot of each arena. You can explore deeper insights in their dedicated tabs. Text. Number 1 is Gemini 3 Pro. Okay. Gemini 3 Pro. Which one are we using? Upgrade, new chat. Ask Gemini 3. So we are using Gemini 3. Fast Thinking Pro. Get more from Gemini. Okay. Interesting. Gemini 3 Flash 4.1 Thinking Claude. Wow, ChatGPT. Where's 5.2? What? Web Dev 5.2. Claude Opus 4.5. Text to image. Image 1.5. ChatGPT is better now. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Generate an image of a mix between Pokemon and Power Rangers. Okay, we saw last time a good comparison, so we have an idea in our mind. There is Flux, there is Hunyon image. Okay, what does this guy do? Hunyon.tencent.com. Okay, interesting. Hunyon image generation open source model. Hugging Face, world knowledge based reasoning. Wow, this is cool. Aesthetics at its finest. Film photography, motion blur. I love motion blur. A handsome young Chinese man running fast by the lake, smiling, fluffy hair, white shirt, blurred scene, flying white birds, warm sunlight shining on his face, colorful halo, warm yellow and deep blue. This is it. Language modeling, image understanding. Progressive training paradigm. The overall training paradigm follows a sequence of pre-training, instruction tuning, RL, post-training. We aim to develop a native multimodal model equipped with an LLM brain and the artistic touch of an artist. Wow. We aim to develop a native multimodal model equipped with an LLM brain and the artistic touch of an artist. All these engineers working really hard to replicate an artist. Just very interesting. Whoa, image created may violate our guide rail. The image we created may violate our guardrails concerning similarity to third-party content. If you think we got it wrong, please retry, edit our prompt. Okay, this is kind of the problem with ChatGPT, because they're just afraid of getting sued. This is the problem again. Like, it totally makes sense why Google moved slow. It totally made sense why Google moved slow with adoption, because today, but it's very interesting, like right now, Google will actually develop that, but ChatGPT wouldn't say no, because ChatGPT has become the face of AI today. So now once you are the face of AI, once you are the leader in AI, you will be looked at very critically. And Google, because now it's the underdog, you can do anything. It can do anything. Google was earlier not an underdog. Now it's an underdog. So yeah, it's very interesting. Image to video, text to video. Wow, so many models. First place, second place, third place. Right now, scroll to the right to see full stats of each model. Overall, Gemini 3 Pro, Grok. Wow. Where is GPT 5.2? It is on 18th spot. No rank. Okay, there is a rank for math. GPT 5.2 high. GPT 5.2 high, but most of the awards are going to Gemini and Grok 4.1 thinking. Wow. Where is Grok winning? Grok isn't winning anywhere. It is just the best on average, it seems like. Where is it winning? It's not winning at all. Okay. Who else is winning? So Claude is winning for expert hard prompts. Okay. Expert hard prompt coding. Instruction following. Is this table longer? No. Okay, that's good. Okay. And longer query. Claude Opus 4.5. What's the difference between them? No difference. Wow. What's the full? What's the full name? 2025 1101. 1101. And this one is 1101. I think there's only a difference of the parameters. Thinking 32K. Okay. Interesting. Who else is winning? Claude Opus and Claude Sonnet. and then ChatGPT. Wow. How is Grok 4.1 second if it's ranking? How did this happen? Very interesting. No, Mistral is over here. Zephyr is over here. Llama is over here. DeepSeek, Gemma, Mistral, Ministral, Claude 3, Haiku, Quen, GPT-4, Amazon Nova, wow, Grok 2 Mini. Grok definitely had a massive race or acceleration to the top, because if you look at Grok's journey, it's like literally less than a year old or something. That entire company is less than a year old, or sorry, not less than a year, but like just over a year. And it is very interesting how fast they were able to just bring on talent. I think what he was also doing is, it's very interesting, like if you're part of the Elon companies, you are basically picked up. Like the Boring company started from one of the lead guys from SpaceX, and similarly when X was acquired, he just pulled up a bunch of people from other companies into X. I forgot, I think someone, like one of my friends, I forgot who said me this. Okay, yeah, one friend who was working, I think he said Tesla or Neuralink. Yeah, right, he was working at Neuralink and he was brought on to work at X. So that was very interesting. Llama, Minimax, Intellect. So no Llama. The first time we see Llama is, this is really bad for Llama. Wow, I'm not seeing a Llama over here. There's Kimi. Wow, LMArena. This is crazy. LMArena, how it works. Visit our blog, join our team. Okay. Input prompt, compare answers, vote for the best, discover and repeat. Transparency, privacy, open research. What is the latest update with Llama models? Wait, what is this? Current mainstream models in the wild. Meta's latest publicly released flagship line is Llama 4. Scout, Maverick. Text and images and have much longer context windows compared to. Somebody said a very interesting thing, like, what do you work? What do you, like the way people are using ChatGPT, what do you do all of that stuff inside Instagram or inside? I think you can still argue for the fact that people might use it in WhatsApp, inside WhatsApp, but inside Instagram is very weird. Like imagine I was at IKEA and now I have a lot of questions that, okay, tell me about this, what does this mean? And like I think main question was for cooking stuff or frying pan. What's the best frying pan that I should buy? I don't want to make a lot of decisions. What's the best frying pan I want to buy? It's like, hey, just go IKEA 365 plus. This is amazing. And that's exactly what we did. That, yeah, we just asked ChatGPT to just simplify everything for us. And what's a good automatically what's a good option? That's it. No specific criteria that, oh, my budget is 100 or I cook this, blah blah blah, all of that. No, just like simple question, what is on average a good frying pan? And that really helped me, because I was just like so confused. I'm like, these IKEA names were so bad. They have these Swedish names, and then the subtitle of all of these products is designed by blah blah blah. I'm like, what am I gonna do with the Swedish name and the designer's name? Tell me, can I cook my chicken? Can I cook my eggs on this pan? That's what I care about. What is this? So that was very interesting. The models use a mixture of experts architecture that aims to balance performance with efficiency. Scout and Maverick have been made available with OpenWeight and accessible via Hugging Face, AWS Bedrock, SageMaker, Snowflake, Cortex, and other platforms. Llama 4 Behemoth, progress and delays. Talked about a larger, more powerful variant called Llama 4 Behemoth, rumored to be on the scale of 2 trillion total parameters with hundreds of billions active per token, but its official release has been delayed. Engineers have reportedly struggled to get it across the performance and safety finish line. Community performance and benchmarks. Independent tests show Llama 4, Scout, and Maverick perform well on typical benchmarks but have been challenged on long context tasks relative to some competitors. Ecosystem and tooling around Llama models. Moderation and security frameworks, prompt guard, Llama Guard, community events, and previews of APIs for developers. Allow the ecosystem of third-party variants of research using the Llama architecture, multilingual versions. Open, the licensing is an open source in the strict sense. Use cases are governed by constraints of the Llama community licenses. Broader shifts to watch. There are industry whispers. And Meta is exploring new internal AI research models called Avocado. New internal AI research models, which might not follow the same open weights approach. Avocado is the current publicly accessible frontier for Meta's open models. Larger flagship is in the pipeline but not yet out. Ecosystem is growing, more deployments, fine-tuned variants, community hybrids, and better adaptations, but licensing continues to be nuanced, not fully open source by standard definitions. Progress and delays. Official release has been delayed. Engineers reportedly struggle to get it across the performance and safety finish line. Current mainstream models in the wild. Okay, interesting. Let's go back. Where are we at? Okay, we have crossed the 1 hour line. Wow, 1 hour just goes by. This is crazy.
We're both different and the same, and so that's two complementary, so that helps. He's kind of like, we're a little more like relatives than anything else at this point. You know, working together 30 years and so forth. So.
Yeah.
Let's find this one. Extract insights from this podcast. Can you do that?
Like, are you friends outside of the work context, or what's like on like a non-work situation? Like, what is the interaction like?
Hey, we're friends, but not like drinking buddies.
Very cool. Okay. I hope this is the real one. Let's see. ASIC is not a fund, it's a system. And by the way, that question is very interesting. Are you friends outside work, or are you just co-workers? Very interesting question. Makes it clear that ASIC isn't optimized like a traditional VC partnership chasing hits. It's engineered more like an operating company. Inside, capital is just one module. Media, recruiting, policy, engineering support, and network effects are first-class primitives. The firm scales by building infrastructure, not by relying on individual partner brilliance. At a certain scale, judgment alone doesn't scale systems, Joe. Operating company. Media, recruiting, policy, engineering support, and network effects are first-class primitives. Building infrastructure not by relying on individual partner brilliance. Talent density beats star investors. Downplay celebrity investors and emphasize venture talent as a discipline, not a personality contest. Trains investors the way companies train operators. Pattern recognition is teachable. How does A16Z train its investors? Whoa, what is that? How does A16Z train its investors? So it needs to know that, hey man, we are talking about some interesting stuff over here. Okay, now we have lost a lot of things. We need to turn this on. Twitter, 1 more hour. Give me 1 more hour. Let's go. train investors the way company train operators. Partner recognition is teachable. If you systemize feedback loops, the firm invests heavily in internal education and specialization. The future of VC looks less like artists picking winners and more like engineers improving decision quality. Explicitly not heat-seeking. This is one of the most misunderstood points and one of the most important. Optimizing for short-term hype cycles. They don't want to only chase the obvious big winners. Category creation or trend participation. Converges everyone's portfolios. Non-consensus bets require insulation from public markets and Twitter sentiment. If everyone agrees, upside is already taxed. What were some recent non-consensus bets made by A16Z? Upside is already taxed. That's true. That means like it's expensive. It's expensive when everybody wants to get in, but when you are making a category, when you are making a non-consensus bets, it's cheaper, and you are the only one making a bet. Scale changes the job of capital. Deploying 15 billion isn't just doing more deals. Marginal dollar is harder to deploy intelligently. Governance, signaling, and founder support matter more than entry price. Mistakes compound faster. Large funds must justify themselves by changing outcomes, not just funding them. Media is not marketing, it's leverage. Strategic infrastructure shapes narratives before markets form opinions, attracts founders who think long-term, influences regulators, talent, and ecosystem norms. If you don't tell the story of the future, someone else will tell a worse one. If you don't tell the story of the future, someone else will tell a worse one. Private over public for alignment. So this is actually very interesting because somebody asked A16Z, I think Mark and Reason, a question that how do you want to go bigger? What would you like to do? And would you like to start getting into the public markets, because public markets is much more bigger? But the problem is, in private market, it's not a bug, it's a feature where you are logged into your position because it basically makes you think long term because your position is logged. Instead, if you were operating in public market and if you're starting to hold all of these stocks in the public market, you will have to constantly make decisions based on market sentiments and everything. But over here, it's not a bug, it's a feature that your capital is logged in, because that is forcing you to make long-term decisions, which is very interesting. You are logged in, and it's not a bug, it's a feature. Your capital is logged in, and that's a feature. Long horizon thinking requires insulation. Yes, long horizon thinking requires insulation. Public markets, it's very interesting. A startup, long horizon thinking requires insulation. So a startup is raising capital from VCs because it wants insulation. VCs are also deploying money, and it's getting insulation from the LPs that, hey, give us 7 years. Don't evaluate today. Don't evaluate us tomorrow. Don't evaluate us for the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but give us 7 years, give us 5+ years. That's how you evaluate our decision quality. That's how you evaluate our decision making. And that is very interesting. Because you want to know that, and so everybody's getting insulation from the bigger entity. A little startup, a founder startup is getting insulation from the VC to think long term. A VC is getting insulation more from a regulation perspective or more from a paperwork legal perspective, that, hey, don't ask us for money today or tomorrow. Actually, I'm curious. I'm really curious. Can a LP, can a limited partner in a venture capital fund ask for their money anytime back? Short answer no, long answer also no, but with footnotes. Yeah, so there has to be legal stuff over here. They're not depositing money into checking account. They're making a long-term legally binding commitment, usually over 10 to 12 years. The GP calls that capital over time. Capital calls. Once contributed, that money is illiquid. There is no withdraw anytime button. They can ask, the fund can smile politely. The answer is still no. Money is already deployed into private companies. Pulling it out would harm other LPs. The fund structure explicitly forbids redemptions. Are closed-end vehicles, not hedge funds. The only real exit route for an LP. If an LP truly wants out early, the only realistic path is secondary sale of the LP interest. Secondary funds, large institution, occasionally family offices. This requires GP approval, willing a buyer, often a haircut on price. Regain capital early if the fund is winding down. There's a key man event. The fund agreement includes extraordinary removal or termination clauses. These are exceptional, not standard. Think of BCLP capital like buying a long-dated illiquid. I like how it's following like a nice Twitter thread format, but everything is just like one singular line. So it's pretty cool. Think of BCLP capital like buying a long-dated liquid bond with uncertain timing and any absence of coupons. Really cool. Really cool. Okay, let's go over here. There are no talking points in this role. One of the most revealing lines in this episode: founders and investors cannot rely on scripts. Reality is adversarial and non-stationary. Judgment must be lived, not memorized. Broader philosophy: leadership is forged under pressure, not index. Meta pattern across the conversation. Consistently rejects simplistic VC narratives, emphasizes organizational design over individual genius, optimizes for decades, not cycles, treats culture, incentives, and structure as primary variables. Maybe the future belongs to institutions that can think long-term, build systems, and resist the gravity of hype. Give me some examples of how A16Z has built systems, specifically has done organizational design. They design an organization the way a founder designs a product. And Reese and Horowitz. Functional specialists instead of solo partner cowboys. One partner does sourcing, diligence, board work, recruiting, help, PR, crisis calls. Success depends on individual heroics. Clear role separation, investing partners, operating, dedicated recruiting team, marketing comms team, policy regulatory team, dedicated engineering security advisors. They unbundle the VC job into components that could each be optimized. Investing, operating, recruiting, marketing comms, policy, regulatory, engineering, security advisors. This mirrors how startups move from generalists to functional orgs after product market fit. Centralized talent machine, not ad hoc intros. Internal talent organization that looks closer to an executive search firm than a VC perk. Full-time recruiters on staff, internal databases of executives, engineers, and operators. Proactive matching rather than reactive intros. Structured feedback loops from founders on higher quality. Wow. I know, like, I was working at a 16Z funded company, so we definitely saw a lot of interesting stuff happening in terms of recruiting. They were really helpful. They were really proactive. Proactive matching rather than reactive intros. Structured feedback loops from founders on higher quality. Organizational design principle: talent is infrastructure, not favors. Helping founders hire from goodwill into a repeatable system. Internal investor training and apprenticeship. Most VC firms assume investing skill is innate. Internal education programs for new investors. Shared decision post-mortems. Pattern libraries across sectors. Apprenticeship style learning under senior partners. Investing like a craft that compounds through feedback, not a personality trait. This lowers variance across partners and raises the floor of precision quality. Sector pods instead of a single partnership blob. Crypto, biohealth, enterprise, consumer, games, American dynamism. Dynamism. Each pod has domain experts, dedicated operators, tailored networks, distinct thesis, and risk models. Foster pattern recognition, better founder empathy, less cross-sector confusion. This is organizational modularity applied to venture. Faster pattern recognition, better founder empathy, less cross-sector confusion. Media's first-class internal function. Doesn't do content. They build a media org. Structural choices, in-house editorial staff, dedicated podcast team, research-backed publishing, clear separation between marketing fluff and thought leadership. Clear separation between marketing fluff and thought leadership. I thought that's very interesting. Yeah, marketing fluff would be marketing a specific product. Thought leadership is more around the strategy, hypotheses, industry analysis, market analysis. That's very interesting. I'm thinking about, so Gartner, when I was at Microsoft, Gartner used to do this entire industry analysis that, okay, what cloud computing service, where do they stack against each other? And I think A16Z does pretty similar thing with all the startups that it has invested in and every other player in the industry. Media isn't promotion, it's narrative control at the system level. Media isn't promotion, it's narrative control at the system level. This allows A16Z to shape category narratives before markets price them in. This is very interesting because you are not exactly part of the company. You are not running the company. You are still advising the founder. You are letting the founder run their company. But you can definitely create a wave that the founder can ride. You can definitely from your end, because you have more long horizon. You are kind of more insulated than a startup. You are more insulated because you don't have day-to-day things to report on. I'm actually curious, like what are the day-to-day things that VCs have to report on? But a founder has more of that stuff going on, so that's very interesting. Full-time policy professionals. Yes, policy. I think that is where, especially in crypto, that is where A16Z helped a lot with security, with like deep expertise in crypto technicalities, deep expertise in crypto regulation. That was something really helpful because they had the resources to go and hire the top talent, the top dogs in crypto regulation and crypto policy, and also affect the policy on a federal level. And then they can and then all of that could just flow into all the little startups, because not every startup has the resources to go and hire the best crypto regulator or best crypto policy maker, but they can, and that one person can help everyone else. Policy and regulatory team embedded early. Most firms react to regulation after it hits. Full-time policy professionals, early engagement with the regulators, white papers and testimony. Founder guidance before issues arise. Founder guidance before issues arise. They move regulation from external shock to internal capability. This is rare and very expensive to copy. Private ownership as an org design choice. Staying private isn't ideological, it's structural. Design consequence. No quarterly earnings pressure. Exactly. No public signaling games. Long horizon incentive alignment. Freedom to that's very cool. Like when you go to any of the A16Z office, you see like how beautiful it is, and you're like, where did this money come from? Like all their chairs are beautiful, all their furniture is beautiful, their offices are beautiful. Where did this money come from? This money came from Stripe, Airbnb, Coinbase, Twitter, all of those things brought that chair in the A16Z office. So that's pretty cool. No quarterly earnings pressure, no public signaling games. Some organizations decay when observed too closely. Privacy preserves strategic patience. Incentives optimized for firm durability, not partner fame. De-emphasizes star culture, signals brand over individual Twitter followings. Shared credit internally, institution memory over personal legend. Institutions outlive individuals. Design accordingly. The meta pattern. This is really interesting because if you build the right infrastructure, you can help on average every person go up. The meta pattern A16Z applies startup thinking to itself, decompose vague roles into systems, invest heavily in internal tooling. I think organizational design is actually so much important. Organizational design is actually so much important because everybody is on a trajectory. Everybody's on a trajectory. Everybody's moving somewhere. And you want to clearly reward the people who are higher on the trajectory, who are higher on the slope, without getting into the complexity of title changes constantly, compensation changes constantly. So this is very interesting. How do we have simple title names, but how do we also reward people in compensation and responsibilities, just an organization who are on a higher slope than the rest? Because if you don't reward them, they will leave, because they don't want, the reason why people work hard is because they want to, one of the reasons why people work hard is because they want to separate themselves from the mediocre. And if you put all that work and if you're not rewarded accordingly, then you will leave. And I think that is very interesting. So, but you also want to make sure that organizational design makes sense. You cannot be constantly, you kind of want a structure that is flexible enough that you can make these changes, but it also doesn't complicate things. Because if you have, I think this is the reason why flat structures are growing, like pod structures are growing instead of more hierarchical structures, because hierarchical structure basically means that everybody who is on a different slope must be somehow put into that hierarchy, and the hierarchy has to be changed constantly, which messes up the organizational structure. Instead, if you just have these pods and you maybe reward based on work and based on very specific metrics, I think that works better. Like your goal is simple. You have a metric and you're in the sales team. You have a metric, let's say Twitter views, and you're in the media team. And then based on your work, you are rewarded, and you always know that you're in the media team. You don't have to constantly say that, oh, I'm a senior media person, I'm a junior media person, I'm a assistant staff media person. So that is very interesting. I think this is exactly the thing that a lot of AI companies have started. They have just started saying the technical member of staff, which is very interesting, because now you can start rewarding, you can get everybody to focus on the work, the research, instead of going after these levels and going after constant org structure change. This is actually very interesting, because this is one of the reasons why Yann LeCun left Meta, because Yann LeCun wasn't happy that Alexander Wang just came from outside and he just became the head. And yeah, it's very interesting. You kind of want to make sure that everybody at the top, you need a leader, because you do want the buck to stop somewhere. You do want one person to actually make the final decision, but you also want to make sure that everybody feels like they're collaborating and not competing with each other. Decompose vague rules in a system, invest heavily in internal tooling, treat culture as an output of structure, optimize for decades, not cycles. Didn't scale venture capital by finding better geniuses, they scaled it by turning judgment into infrastructure. Compare the Sequoia's contrasting org model, translate it into how you would design a modern AI lab.
So something like that, right? Like, we both work so much, we mostly talk about work anyway, because we're working together, we're talking about work. But it's kind of like, the way I describe it, and I want to say this without sounding, I'm not making the level comparison, I'm just saying the relationship comparison that I think is most similar, that I know about, is kind of the Michael Jackson-Quincy Jones relationship, if you think about that. And that, Mark's more Michael Jackson, he's a star of talents that made sense. Like anybody else is, maybe like everything, right? Like you talked about. To the point where, as a firm, we can just put him out there and say, magic trick. He's and for me to, my kind of relationship with him is, like Quincy Jones. It's not like I'm certainly not Michael Jackson, but I know enough. Quincy Jones knew so much about music and so much about how you get the most out of somebody that talented. That makes it work together. So I can surround Mark with the kinds of people with the kinds of ideas and so forth that maximize him. And then, he makes me much better because he's Michael Jackson. And you're never going to make Thriller if you're not Michael Jackson. Yep. And all the great albums Quincy Jones made, nothing was the biggest Thriller, because you need that. And so that's the kind of relationship. So we're very complementary. We're in the same field. We do this, I'm an investor, he's an investor. We build companies together, all that kind of thing. I'm an engineer, he's an engineer by training. But he's different than me, very different. Still. Yep. And I'm different than him. And that's kind of what makes it work. We're not the same, enough different. But I'm not saying that I'm Quincy Jones, the great Quincy Jones, rest in peace. I love him. A lot of people mad.
Do you think about the firm similarly? Are you on different sides of certain ideas about the firm, and that's what has led to it working the way it has? Or is it you believe the same things about what it's going to take to win, and then you just have a different sort of skill set and set of work?
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of kind of arguments. We've had a lot of arguments both on kind of which direction it should go and in what kind of time frame. He has kind of more ideas about things we should do than I do, just because, running it, I try and keep it a little more contained. Although, sometimes I'll push us in a direction that people would normally gone otherwise, like some of the international things we're doing.
So it's more common that he's generating your editing?
Yeah, more common, although I definitely generate some ideas, and he definitely will edit some of them. We talk so much and so forth, by the time we kind of get to the idea, we work through it, but it's a good kind of back and forth. And I would say I'm more decisive as a personality type than him. He's kind of more open-ended, because he's more of an idea generator, and so that kind of helps where I can go, okay, we're going to do the flag here, but not there.
It's kind of rare in venture that there's like I know like left like the CEO model, but like to have somebody who's operating as a CEO is kind of rare, where like I guess at this point, obviously your reason's big, it's like 500 people.
600 people,
yeah, and like your days.
I'm actually really curious. Was there any time in history when Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz decided to split the firm 50-50? Wow, Whisperflow is really cool. Wow. No known moment seriously considered splitting into two equal independent firms. Cleanly told. Coded partnership. Gravity from Netscape, Love Cloud, OpsWare. 50-50 split never made sense. Personality driven shop. Designers venture platform. Shared economics, shared brand, shared long-term incentives. Intentional avoidance of the classic VC failure mode. Internal competition spreading would have destroyed the core thesis. Institution over individual partner. Firm works because no partner needs to build a personal fiefdom. Credit flows to the firm, not the ego. LPs back a machine, not a celebrity. Regression to old school VC dynamics, the Reaver pattern. Designed away the need to. Most legendary duos fracture when incentives drift. Public narratives diverge. One side becomes the brand. Building centralized services. Institutionalizing leverage, making the firm the protagonist. Avoid a split by luck, they worried about architecture. If you're exacting a lesson, the system is already fragile. The more durable move is what they did, build something where spreading stops being a coherent question.
I guess it's
it's still 600 is relatively small in kind of the scale things that I run. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is still like, I have like 25 one-on-ones with entrepreneurs every month, just in various around the portfolio, helping them with CEO stuff, and then helping with deals, and then doing our international stuff and working with investors. So, maybe management's like a third of my time, but still, that's probably more than most VCs.
I guess doing that stuff probably is important for you to be able to sort of run the firm anyway, too. Like, as much as like generating returns, which I'm sure also happens, you probably also need to do deals in order to like stay close to the market.
100%, right? Yeah, I mean, like I think that you don't really understand the VC business if you're not like on board to make investments and understanding like, okay, because like hiring changes, like hiring has changed a lot in the last 5 years just because like the offers that used to be like, how do you defend against that? And how do you do all these things? And so, like, if you're running a venture capital firm, you're like, oh, returnation would make it that much, that many RSUs. And it's like, when I was worried, I only had 4.
Yeah.
Well, you can get out of really fast.
Yeah. When you think about like the way that you decide to structure, I guess, the company, the firm, you basically, when I actually speak with our team, who's like amazing, could obviously run big some firm. Yeah. You structure this in some way where you can have certain caliber of GP. Mm-hmm. How have you thought about like what's like the narrative in your head as you've been thinking about, okay, this is what needs to be true to have people like Martine, Chris Dixon, and so forth?
It's funny. Mike Warren said this great quote years ago where he said like the key to running a venture capital firm is to keep the principals from killing each other. Right? Like, and there's a lot of truth to that because we have very, very high-powered, like super high IQ, disagreeable people who are the best VCs and like that. You can find a VC who you don't like. You can find a great VC who maybe is a dick or whatever, but it's pretty hard to find one who you go like that guy's not smart.
Can you be a good agreeable VC?
I don't know many. So I think some are more agreeable than others. So I do think there is a kind. So to be kind of a long-term, like all-time great VC, I think most of those end up being disagreeable because you really have to think about everything for yourself, and you can't. Wanting to be liked can be a problem. However, like there's a phase of VC that's this kind of heat-seeking phase.
Yeah, you can be a good agreeable heat seeker.
Yeah,
and that really helps because you're somebody liked by other people.
I think the best heat seekers probably are agreeable.
You're right.
So that kind for sure.
Friends, everybody might think they're smart all the time.
Yeah. The truffle hunters, like they're all disagreeable.
Have you ever seen a very good set of results from somebody who's just doing heat-seeking work?
In a period, yeah. And usually what happens is they show up during a boom and then they go away after the boom is over. Mm-hmm. And because partly they were interested in the chase more than the actual like, oh, here's a breakthrough new technology in whatever cryptocurrency, the decentralized network, and they're using all these amazing techniques. Like, they don't care. I mean, if you're the true heat seekers don't care about that at all. They're just like, right, that's fine. I'm gonna go see if I can get that deal. Yeah. Everybody wants that deal. And that's a real thing. Yeah. It's a real thing in VC. And I think we kind of came out of that period. We may be going into that period again.
There's a good version of this that I know some people who would get framed heat seekers, but it's a little bit different where they can tell that it's going to be hot. Like they don't know if it's going to be a good long-term business, but like this is going to be hot by the next round. I can just see this happen. Yeah. And I think there's something interesting there. Like I've seen seed investors who just seem to have a nose for like this is going to get a hot Series A. Yeah. And they'll have enough for that.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I mean, I agree with you. I think that's a real thing. It's it's not so much our business, but it's
I talked to Mark about how there's this issue once you're really big, which is you have to be really careful with those because of conflicts. And so it's like actually kind of not worth it. If you're able to win stuff later, there becomes this sort of like business where you should basically wait for do the earliest round where you're short for in category, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some of that in the calculus, and then I think for us. we have to kind of believe in it technologically, believe in the entrepreneur and so forth. It's just kind of, we a little bit view ourselves as more mission-oriented. So like our mission isn't to get higher returns than the S&P 500, although that's a good side effect or whatever. You know, our mission is much more to like, can we help the best entrepreneurs build the best companies and kind of make.
I think it's very interesting. Somebody said this about A16Z, but when they came up with a new branding, that they pretty much operate like a startup because they had their website and only the first landing page was designed with the new branding, and everything else, their entire blog page and everything, was still in the old branding. So they just shipped it. This is pretty cool. Sign up and stay informed. Whoa. Yeah, actually, this is true. This is still true. This entire page still looks like the old A16Z. So this is very interesting. By the way, Alex Danko, yes, Alex Danko now works at A16Z, it seems like. Where are we here? Why did we raise 15B? Notes on AI apps in 2026. Everything is computer. I like that. I like fun titles of blogs. This is pretty cool. Okay, let's start with the first paragraph and let's go to the last paragraph. It's crazy how this is still doesn't make any sense. Okay, but it's cool that they also have a Substack. Studios famously sold the iPhone as 3 inventions in one. In truth, it represented something much more foundational. The first mass market machine that bundled compute, power, sensing, connectivity, and software into a single tightly engineered package. Once the blueprint existed, everything else started to look the same. Your laptop, smart TV, thermostat, doorbell, camera, refrigerator, industrial robot, drone. Electric vehicle, once you peel back the steel sheet, relies on the same ingredients: battery, sensor, motors, compute, and software, just in a different skin. We no longer live among truly distinct technological paradigms, but within a world of variations on one single idea, the smartphone, endlessly turned inside and out and scaled across every domain. Everything is computer. Evolutionary logic to why so much of the modern technological world converges on this form. Can be broken down and recomposed into entirely new products with surprising ease. The same polymers, diodes, and battery cells that power an industrial robot are just as at home in a laptop. Capability concentrates at the product level, but scale accumulates far below it. Modular middle of the electro-industrial supply chain ultimately determines both commercial and geopolitical success. This layer is what allows electronics to be built, customized, and improved faster than any other class of physical goods, while drawing on vast consumer-scale commodity markets to create new systems by recombination. And so a company like Xiaomi could move seamlessly from smartphones into electric vehicles. Control over this integration step shapes cost curves, set performance ceilings. Electro-industrial production, and with a disproportionate influence over the pace of technological progress this century. Remarkable process, practical at all, let alone feasible at such a regular tempo. Scale is about scale, and at scale, even the most marginal improvements matter. When you ship hundreds of millions of units, small gains in cost, efficiency, size, or reliability compound directly into better products and fund the next iteration. They rethink the modules inside them. Raw materials, extract and refine. Not a banana, let's go. Used across nearly all industries. Device primitives and components. You got the chip, you got the IC, you got battery, you got, I mean, this is just what do we call it? I forgot. Modules and subsystems. You got camera, you got conduction motor, you got the bigger chip, end products. So it's pretty much the same thing. Vertical integrated, Henry Ford's Rogue River plan being the classic example. Raw materials entering the factory at one end, finished cars exiting through the other. Rogue River. Michigan State Historic Site. Whoa. Green roof. Really cool. The Rogue in 1973. Strikers riot. Strike breaker beaten by strike breaker. Employment and unionization. March of protest anyone later called the Ford Hunger March in 1932. United Auto Workers plan to hand out leaflets resulting in an attack by Ford. It is known as the Battle of the Overpass. The Caucasus demands were denied due to being red baited. Wow. Reductio ad Stalinim, red tagging. Accusing, denouncing, attacking, or persecuting the target individual or group as anarchist communist. Red baited. Very interesting. It's interesting how they are tagging, how they're linking to Wikipedia articles instead of Grokipedia. That's very interesting. Actually, I'm curious, did Grokipedia start including, what's the status right now? 6 million, okay. So they have gone from Crunchyroll. What's the Crunchyroll update? Let's see. Approved edit for Blue Sky. Wow. Original text suggested text. This design avoids peer-to-peer complexity by relying on hosted services for efficiency, though the resulting architecture requires significant resources to operate fully, creating economic barriers that favor large-scale providers over small independent operators. Self-hosting remains optional for advanced users while supporting interoperation through universe. It's very interesting. So Grok creates the first article, then you can go and suggest a change, and then Grok evaluates if that change makes sense. Research AT Protocol research requirements using Grok feedback. Wow. So everything, all the feedback, everything is mentioned over here. While personal data servers can be low resource for small scale use, Hacker an article noting minimal computing needs for small user base. Full network components like relays and app use are resource intensity to processing global firehose streams, indexing, and handling large-scale data. Overlapping other sections like decentralization, design, and implementation challenges. Scope is precise, highlighted iteration graph providing broader changes. So we don't know what it actually means, but okay, something has happened. They were Rogue River, Michigan. Let's go. Rogue River. River Rouge. Actually, I don't know if it's Rogue or it's Rouge. Yes. Oh, this is interesting. 834. This is River Rouge. This is Ford River Rouge Complex. It'd be cool to start having corporate Ford. Okay, so this is all, these are all the references. Pretty cool. We need images now. I think this is the interesting thing about Grok, that Grok has been focused so much on text. Perplexity was the first one to actually go out and bring images. Now that I say Perplexity, I just feel like going to Comet and checking out any updates on Comet. No specific update. Oh, no, yes. But I just feel like going and checking what's up with Perplexity. It's 10th Jan. So the Apple version, well, the Apple Vision Pro is so immersive that you forget that you're on a plane. People are still talking about it. Perplexity, give me the latest updates. Let's go. Comet is now available on Android. That we saw that. 8 Jan. Okay. What is this? Today we are launching Perplexity for public safety. law enforcement or trusted, accurate AI to make false informed decisions. From the field to the courtroom, qualifying agencies can access Perplexity Enterprise Pro free for 12 months for up to 200 seats. Gain access to leading AI models with enterprise-grade security. We're proud to be the first AI company to offer Enterprise Pro specifically to law enforcement public safety agency. Is working on mental health safety. AI is being used in public safety. Now curious how it will actually work day to day. Finally, a tool that might actually make cops faster without guessing. All these are AI responses. Oh my god, they're just like all in lowercase. Gemini 3 Flash. Okay, no major updates by Perplexity. Let's go Aravind Srinivas. There's the Comet logo and Perplexity logo. CEO Perplexity. 17 December. Wait, what happened? Why are there no updates from Perplexity? Wow. I feel like Grok would have an answer. Let's see Grok. Cross. Give me new chat. Why are there no latest updates from Perplexity or Aravind Srinivas? Let's see. Let's see what is happening. Let's see what is happening. Actually, recent updates from both Perplexity and Aravind Srinivas are not just extremely frequent in the first 10 days of January. Okay. When I acquire on his personal account too, and I'm speculating it's because something big might be brewing, a major feature drop partnership or internal focus. There's no official explanation. It's common for CEOs to post less during holiday periods, hence channel launches. Fresh update 2 days ago. It looked at Instagram for results. That is really cool. But where is the 32 sources? Search web. Perplexity co-founder remarked that it's a fast evolving default AI for all Snapchat users. Is AI taking on lies? Prediction reveals the inevitable future of humans. Okay, really cool. I really like Grok. I think Grok has to launch. Grok has to launch a browser now. We need that. Okay. Arvind's AI prediction. What is the industry saying about Perplexity as a product? Key prediction and views. On-device AI will threaten massive data centers. Wow. Wow. On-device AI. That is true. Like, our devices are so powerful. Our devices are so powerful. Do we need data centers? It's very interesting. I think Elon is also talking about making your Tesla cars into data center, which is very interesting. Apple has these iPhones as data center. Will threaten massive data centers. I'm also curious, what does Apple do with all the unsold inventory of iPhones? They don't just throw them away. Destroy access stock in warehouses. There's no credible evidence. Routinely incinerates new unsold iPhones to clear shelves. Sell through authorized channels. Older stock literally stays on sale longer. So on most units they manufacture unsold in public discussions usually means stock that hasn't shipped to final customers yet, not piles of devices in a back room. Certified refurbished, sold at lower price with warranty. Used for warranty replacements. They don't tap brand new inventory. Return units aren't sold as brand new. They get checked, repaired, and relabeled as refurbished. Allocate old models to low-cost markets. I really like the iPhone Air. It was very interesting. Like Timothée Chalamet was on a shoot, or it was just a photo shoot, or maybe an interview, or just marketing stuff, and he was using the iPhone Air, and I thought that was pretty cool. It looked pretty cool. Like everybody's walking around with iPhone Pro, but very few people are actually rocking the iPhone Air. Also, stock often gets shipped to markets where demand is still present or where pricing strategies differ. After they're not offered in North America, recycling material recovery. Trade and end of life, unsaleable stock. Trade and recycle programs responsibly broken down materials like aluminum, copper, lithium, gold are recovered. Specialized robots. Disassemble iPhones at scale for competent reuse. What is that? Inventory planning reduces waste, unlike fast fashion or some electronics retailers. Manufacturing and supply forecasting aim to minimize leftover stock. Continued sales, regional distribution tend to absorb it rather than outright disposal. Apple's trade and program recycling that pays off. What is curvy? Turn dead stock into revenue with branded resale. Refurbished products returns and B stock. We do branded multi-channel resale. Choose your intake. Use existing inventory, buy back products. Branded buyback portal. Leverage your B stock over stock returns to feed your resale process. Automated refurbishment. Resale on autopilot. Branded resale shop. Launch in days on months. Reach new and sustainability driven customers designed for growth, not complexity. Additional channels. Track impact profit. Short branded resale. Interesting. Dyson. Did I read Dyson? Dyson traded much worth for the company. Interesting. Okay. When I say interesting, it reminds me of Chris Williamson. He says, interesting. In other news, Apple sells extra stock through its own partner channels. Okay, cool. That's really cool. The biggest existential threat to the current centralized data center boom. Trillions. Our infrastructure is if powerful AI intelligence can be packed locally on a chip. This is, yeah, interesting because we want more power. But what if AI just becomes more capable and more efficient that you don't need that much power? Or we just find a new power source. Maybe we go really after solar, and solar becomes much more easier and scalable than all the data centers that we have. Once we figure out the solar, that will become so much easier. Very interesting. Faster responses, better privacy, personalized AI that lives on your computer and adapts deeply to your habits without sending everything to the cloud. This view has been widely covered in early January 26 articles and clips, positioning it as one of his core outlooks heading into the year. $10 trillion to $100 trillion question. AI hallucinations could be solved in 5 years. Predicted the issue gets completely fixed within the next 5 years. Human curiosity and agency remain irreplaceable. Doesn't autonomously decide which problems matter most. Genuine curiosity, scientific progress, and directing AI toward meaningful goals stay a human domain. He sees personalized, widely accessible AI transforming work and learning, but humans stay in the driver's seat for direction and innovation. I think we need to pin 1x window for posting. That would make sense. Grok, Claude, Gemini, and then 1x for posting. All right. AI toward meaningful goals stay a human domain. broader context from his recent activity. Default AI inside Snapchat. Okay, what is the industry saying on Perplexity as a product? Very curious. Let's go. What was this? Projects. No projects yet. The industry perspective of Perplexity as a product in 2026 is largely positive, especially for its core strength in AI-powered search with real-time web access, transparent citations, and concise, accurate answers, widely regarded as one of the top tools for research-heavy tasks. Research and search. Live web data providing verifiable sources, complex queries, heavy hallucinations. Yeah, you still need ChatGPT for creative stuff because Perplexity is not good at creative stuff. It's good for research. Research intensive queries, preference in some 2026 user service for complex questions. G2 product hunt. 30 million plus monthly active users, massive query volume, hundreds of millions monthly, and strong growth from India and direct traffic. Yeah, they're winning in India. Is Perplexity winning in India? User rating adoption, innovative features driving buzz, common assistant, AI browser takeover for autonomous workflows, get enthusiastic mention on X. Users love it for real-time research, podcast dissection, scripting, and multi-tab productivity. Its position is more autonomous than competitors like ChatGPT Atlas. Growth stats fuel optimism. 18 to 20 billion after big funding rounds, partnerships. Quality dips over time. More errors, shallow responses, subscription frustration, splitting cancellation issues on Trustpilot, lagging behind frontier models. Laziness, perceived bias, censorship through these are outliers. Universal ChatGPT killer, best as a specialized research tool. 62 sources, wow, that's a lot. Largest and most strategic markets globally. Twenty 22% of Perplexity's global traffic, global users traffic in various reports. Number 2 is Indonesia, close behind the US on some data sets, massive growth. Partnerships for students, engineers, early rollouts, common browser to pro users in India, compares to competitors. Geo for Gemini, wow. Geo for Gemini, similar for ChatGPT. ChatGPT is clear leader, Gemini strong 2, Perplexity solid 3. Grok DeepSeek much smaller, shines in research, search specific use cases, and its pro tier gives it an edge for power users, students, professionals. Next billion AI market, Perplexity's moves. Marketing and celebs like Tanmay Bhatt show it's betting big here. Free access and loyalty in the data flywheel. Really cool. Okay. It's working with. Wow. It's crazy how much content Grok has over a topic than Wikipedia. Inception and early operations, location and layout. Because what it's truly doing is it has a format. It has to treat this topic as its own comprehensive things and just start linking everything, start deep linking other articles, start deep linking other references, which is really cool. So number 1, you have to kind of like create a one-off one-pager document, assuming that someone is only looking at this article, not anything else. So you don't have to use a lot of assumptions, just create a one-pager on this document in a certain format where you are you're starting with like overall summary, then you're kind of going into history, then you're going into other interesting vectors or interesting domains around it, finally ending with legacy influences, which is like the basically look at any top Wikipedia article. Actually, I'm curious. Interesting question. What is what is the longest Wikipedia page? I'm also curious if these AIs are trained to kind of market themselves. So does this say that, hey, maybe check out Grokipedia because that's better. English Wikipedia measured by Wikitext, bite size, standard metric for longest papers, typically a massive. Structured data over time. The longest current article, 2025, in women's road cycling. What? (2025) in women's road cycling. Marlin Lucier, Anna van der Breggen. What are all these flags? There is Switzerland, Italy. Are there certain countries that are... Whoa, I'm seeing a flag. I'm seeing this Italian flag, right? Italy, okay. What countries tend to perform really good in women's road cycling? I'm seeing a lot of Italian flag. Whoa. Yeah, you always see an Italian flag. Germany. Keeps reappearing on podiums. Think of it as a peloton shaped by culture, funding, and decades of muscle memory. The gold standard. Netherlands. I think this is Netherlands, yeah. Anna van der Breggen. Demi Vollering. The gold standard pipeline from juniors to World Tour, ruthless race IQ and riders who win everything from cobble classics to grand tours. Women cycling had a default setting, it would be Dutch. Tactical, gritty, and beautifully consistent. Italy shines in classics and stage races, powered by strong domestic racing and a tradition that treats cycling like opera with sweat. The classics forge. Belgium excels when races turn rough and selective. The culture prizes suffering, positioning, and cobbles that feel like arguments with history. Resurgent and serious France combines big institutional support with versatile riders who can sprint, climb, and time trial. Always present, increasingly dangerous. United Kingdom system builders, track to road. Whoa, is that a mountain? What is that? Like, did they climb all of that? That is crazy. Strong and steadily rising nations. Australia, Germany, Denmark, Switzerland, emerging wild card contenders. Spain, US. What made Netherlands the gold standard? Patiently then pressed repeat. Think of it as less as a golden generation, more as self-renewing ecosystem. Oh, right. In the Netherlands, all you're doing is you're cycling. Cycling is normal life, not a niche sport. Bikes are infrastructure, not symbolism. Girls ride daily from childhood, long before anyone talks about watts or contracts. Huge participation at young ages, early bike handling skills that can be fast-tracked later. Comfort with riding in traffic, wind, rain, and chaos. Feels like an extension of the nervous system. A A brutally dense domestic race scene. Thick calendar of junior U23 elite and kermesse style races. Kermesse. You race a lot, you learn positioning the hard way, you fail in public early and often. Exceptional race IQ, not just strong legs with instinct, where to move, when not to panic, when to gamble. A culture that values winning craft, not just suffering. Tactically, wind awareness, echelons, timing attacks rather than diesel grinding. Roles from a young age. Many countries teach grit first and tactics later. The Dutch teach tactics as survival. Development pipeline for women. National programs aligned from juniors to elite. Clear progression without long career gaps. Early exposure to international racing. When professionalism arrived globally, the Dutch were already living there. Role models that compound belief. Success stacked on success. Greatness begets greatness. Classics, Grand Tours, World Championships. More than most people admit, teams built around Dutch DNA. Historically, prioritize cohesion over star worship. Emphasize collective race control. Develop leaders without burning out domestiques. Creates depth. Even second-tier Dutch riders arrive technically sharper than many leaders elsewhere. Clubs talk to federations, federation talk to teams, riders move fluidly between track, cyclocross, and road. Density plus iteration. Winning intelligently, start early and reinforced constantly. Really cool. Enormous length from tables, references, and updates. Opinion polling. List of Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches. Wow. Dynamic tools like special long pages. Typical prose articles, not that bite size, includes markup templates, references, and tables, not just readable prose, measuring by prose and prose word count. The longest articles tend to be detailed biographies, historical overviews, but they don't come close to these mega lists. Really cool. Really cool. Ryan Macintosh. Focus on companies that promote American dynamism. Dynamism. There is tremendous reason for optimism. America leads in product and module design, and the upstream materials and device primitives we need are increasingly available. We also have the world's deepest and most demanding consumer markets, and the brands best positioned to serve them. On paper, they should put the United States in a strong position, but in practice, closing the production gap will require a significant durable shift to support an electronics ecosystem that now spans consumer products, industrial systems, and defense applications. We may never match engine's sheer density of low-cost suppliers, but software can help us stitch together a distributed manufacturing network of highly automated factories. This is also interesting. Somebody like Dan Wang was talking about this, that if you go to most of the SF parties and you talk about that, okay, America is lagging behind in industry, in building the American industry. Most people, he said, that would be like, oh, AI is going to come over here, AI is going to build everything, AI is going to solve all the problems. But Dan Wang was like, maybe that's not the answer. That's not the answer. AI cannot just magically solve everything, which was very interesting. Not just to reach high volume production, but to continuously drive down the marginal cost of new product iteration. Without this, domestic manufacturing becomes increasingly static, bespoke, and expensive, while foreign competitors' advantages compound through faster iteration. Industrial policy that rewards presence rather than world-class performance will create lethargic firms vulnerable to the hyper-competitive dynamics of Asian markets. Intentional about inviting firms to build their production ecosystems here to learn from, are not the same as foreign firms just extending theirs. With a smartphone in all our pockets, We built the blueprint for the consumer electronics revolution. Others scaled it. The billionth unit is always better and cheaper than the first. The next decade will determine whether our ecosystem remains merely architects or become builders. That depends on whether we can manifest the industrial layer we left behind. We will do this not through nostalgia for the factories of the past, but through mastery of the production model of the future. America invented the smartphone. Now we need to learn its lesson. The future belongs to whoever can build it. What all new automated factories were set up in America in 2025? Tell me. Find me something interesting. Let's see what we have. Alright, we got TSMC, we got Lego, we got stuff. Significant announcement, groundbreaking ceremonies, and some operational starts for new manufacturing facilities, many emphasizing high levels of automation. Reshoring efforts, the CHIPS Act, AI demand, and supply chain security. Fully dark remain rare in the US. Experts noted hybrid human-robot models dominated due to workforce needs and complexity, but several new and newer expanded plans sort of for advanced automation. Yaskawa. US-based production of high-volume industrial robots. Construction break ground in 2025. MCore Technology Semiconductor Advanced Packaging and Test Campus. $7 billion total investment expanded from earlier plans. Features smart factory technology, scalable automated lines for high-end chips. Mid-2027 major 2025 milestone with clean room automation focus. Silicon anode battery materials plant, Moses Lake, Washington. Advanced manufacturing and closing US innovation to production gaps, highly automated for battery materials. TSMC Arizona expansions. High volume production already started late 2024, but continued ramp up and milestones. TSMC Arizona expansions. Notable 2025 highlights. Lego's $1.5 billion automated manufacturing facility. Top-down, highly automated for toy production, set for 2027 full opening, but major progress in 2025. Novartis. Ground broke in December 25, end-to-end localized production with advanced automation. Various EV battery-related ramps. Ford SK on Blue Oval in Kentucky, Tennessee. Honda, LG in Ohio began on new production in 2025. Strong automation assembly lines. Tesla Giga Texas expansions. Dedicated Optimus humanoid robot factory announced planned massive robotic focus for future production. Border trends in 2025. So Optimus is getting a dedicated factory. Wow. What is the latest updates on Tesla's Optimus robot? Broader trends, semiconductor and AI focus dominated. Announcements, TSMC, Samsung, Texas expansions. These fabs are inherently highly automated with clean rooms, robotics, and AI-driven processes. This is really cool that Grok has done. No major fully dark factories. Reports emphasized. I think I'll ask this question again. What is an average day of an XAI technical member of staff looks like? No, not X. Not EX. X. Let's go. Alright. What else we got? Semiconductor and AI focus. TSMC, Samsung, Texas, Amcor. Inherently highly automated with clean rooms, robotics. Yaskawa. What is Yaskawa? Yaskawa. factories, robotic hands, palletizing automation. No major fully dark factories. Digital twins, AI and video, omniverse of factory simulations used by Caterpillar, Foxconn, Toyota, TSMC. Billions poured in monthly. Industry select roundups track dozens of projects across states like Arizona, Texas, North Carolina, Virginia. In highly automated facilities. I can dive deeper. What are the latest updates on the state of Texas in terms of growth, innovation, tech industry, tech workers? Active development, significant progress, but no major public unveilings. Full production time, milestones achieved yet in the new year. Boston Dynamics, production starts for electric Atlas robot. Near human dexterity, 20 degrees of freedom per hand, overall sublime improvements. Revealed the full V3 design. Musk clarified in late 25 that recent images videos were off V2 or week 2.5. Target for showing in Feb or March 26. Fremont factory producing limited units, focus on internal testing for refinement, larger Gen 3 production line plan for 26 with hopeful high volume start by the end of 26. Massive dedicated facility at Giga, Texas, aiming for up to 10 million units per year, eventually has reportedly started construction or site prep in late 25. This is positioned as the main future hub. Internal deployment. Tesla aims for genuinely useful low-volume Optimus robots in its factory starting in 26. Two other companies could follow late in 26 or into 27. 20 to 30,000 once at mass scale, speculative but repeatedly mentioned by Musk for accessibility. Recent videos, autonomous walking, running, heel to toe, human-like jog, folding laundry, sorting, handing out items, and even fun demos, learning kung fu, clips shared by Musk. Advanced brain capabilities, hiring heavily. Motion capture VR for training data collection. Teleoperation or heavy supervision. Full autonomy compared to some competitors, and 26 is seen as reckoning year for execution, regulatory hurdles, and competition. Potentially more valuable than all of Tesla's other businesses combined. Vision-based autonomy similar to full self-driving. Okay. Average day. Okay, let's see. Urgency, autonomy in pushing AI boundaries, training massive models like Grok, scaling infrastructure like Colossus. It's again interesting nominative determinism. Macro, hard. This means like he's like, yeah, we are hardcore culture. Open AI. Elon Musk is, wow. Elon follows nominative determinism. Elon is a student of nominative determinism. Kids are named after scientists and spacecrafts depicting the quality of Scientists on a spacecraft depict the quality of intelligence and strength. His new data center. Colossus describes grandness. The name of Macrohar. The name Macrohar is both a meme and reflection of the hardcore culture. The name of his kids. Strider Shaker. Find evidence for this belief. Enregistre. Symbolizing intelligence and strength. Very good question. Very good question. Okay, let's go back. Colossus. XA prioritizes in-person collaboration across offices. Palo Alto, San Francisco, Seattle, Tennessee, Memphis for Computer in London. Involved being on-site. Common elements of a typical day based on employee accounts. Most work 9 to 5, many arrive between 8 to 10, many were after deep work sleep. Work when you're most productive, expect long hours. Whatever schedule best fits you, while others pull marathon sessions. Major releases, core work blocks. Deep coding, research sessions. Implementing models, debugging, training runs. Optimizing infrastructure on thousands of GPUs, benchmarking, fine-tuning prompts, building evaluation frameworks, cross-functional collaboration, pair programming, ad hoc discussions with teammates, very flat hierarchy, senior engineers mentor juniors liberally. Anyone can jump in to fix obvious issues. Infrastructure model interaction, monitoring massive training jobs, analyzing failures, iterating on scaling laws, working on frontiers like vision, RL, enterprise government AI. It's very interesting. This is very interesting. Like, this is the reason, like, Elon is moving really fast. His entire culture is focused on moving really fast, and that it's interesting. Like, when you are building a massive company like that, and you are moving really fast, and everybody is on the same boat with you, that okay, we are okay with moving fast. Everybody can accept that changes are going to happen fast. They are ready for it and they can go. But if you just apply that same thing to government, and it was very interesting. Somebody was doing this analysis. I think it was Sean Ryan. He was doing that analysis that he was doing the right thing, but it was too fast for a country because the country is not used to it. And these massive fast changes which are happening, people haven't built the ability to adapt that fast to a country moving like a startup. So you needed that same thing, but you need it on a consistent basis. So it's very interesting to see that both of them have come together again, and both of them have come together again, and it makes sense for them to come together. But it's interesting that now they have come together and now they are working on it again, and this time they're going slowly. They're going slowly, consistently, because I think that's it. Like, you can move fast, but sometimes when you move really fast, people can catch up to you. People have to build that habit of moving fast with you. Very interesting. Very interesting. Deep coding research sessions, implementing models, debugging, training, runs, optimizing, infrastructure, benchmarking, fine-tuning prompts, cross-functional collaboration, senior engineers mentor juniors liberally, anyone can jump in to fix obvious issues, infrastructure model interaction, monitoring massive trading jobs, autonomy and ownership. The engineers get broad access to huge code bases, tooling and compute, see a problem, fix it mentality, no heavy bureaucracy. Quick meals, food on-site or nearby, breaks, energy management, quick meals, food. It's very interesting when you also mention specific things like food, because sometimes everything affects everything. How you think about one thing is how you think about everything. You cannot be like, oh, I think about this in work, I'm really efficient, really hard working, and then for food I am very relaxed and stuff. No, it's how if you think about efficiency and beauty, then that just flows into everything. You also think about efficiency and beauty and taste in your food. That is very interesting. So it's very interesting when you talk about systems, when you think about building a culture, you're building a company, you go to the very root of it, which is like, hey, how are your employees in a good mindset? To be in a good mindset, are they training their bodies to have a good energy and to train your body? Are they eating good food? So it gets down to the very basics, and then you build up from there. Then you're able to construct your mind. Then your brain could actually think in long horizons once you have the basic fundamentals taken care of. And I think it's also very interesting to think about, like, you know, how sometimes people say that, oh, this one executive at Goldman Sachs who was working at Goldman Sachs for last 20-30 years, suddenly they retire, and now that they don't have assistants now that they don't have all these assistants around them, they find it really hard to operate in this new world without the assistants and all that stuff. And that is very interesting, because once you work at a company like this, once you work in a hardcore culture, it's really hard to kind of go back to your normal routine, because now you have built your entire systems, your food was taken care by the company, you had a very hard working culture, you had these deep friendships with people who were going really hard at work. So that is very interesting. And I think, and that same thing applies for even, actually, a really good example is Emil Michael, who was kind of the chief business, I believe he was the chief business officer at Uber. And I think a year ago, Joe Lonsdale had this podcast, American Optimism. And it's very interesting to see that. Like, I think I saw that podcast for the first time maybe a year ago, and then I saw an version 2, a season 2 kind of update today of Emil Michael again. So at that time he was talking about his entire story at Uber, and he was like, Uber's culture was so intense and things were moving so fast, and they were actually doing real things out in the real world, that today he misses that. And then today I just found that he is kind of working in the Department of War in the United States of America. So it's like, it perfectly aligns with what he was talking about. He loves to go hard at real world problems and kind of like go out with that intensity, and now he's pretty much doing the same thing. It's very interesting. Coffee fuel focus blocks, occasional short walks, some report pushing 24/7 war room energy with snacks and high intensity vibes. Infrequent formal meetings, more likely quick syncs or 5-minute slots during rare all hands deep dives. Elon has done marathon office sessions giving live feedback. I think there was this one, Mark and recent talks about this one thing where he talked to every single engineer for like 5 minutes and had this like booked schedule for like 20 for the entire day. Slots during rare all hands deep dive. Swamped or brilliant 20 meeting somethings mixed with veterans. Describe a swarm of brilliant 20 somethings mixed with veterans, zero toxicity politics, and unified grand vision energy. End of day. Often late midnight plus during crunches, but some leave earlier if output is high. Many stay connected remotely via X, chat, Slack, even when resting. Oh, that Slack thing is really cool. How much should X or Twitter pay for Slack in 2025? Hardcore the voluntary overtime. Go back. The voluntary Where is it? But Breeze is incredibly grateful to be part of this team by those who thrive on it. Mindset and why. Maniacal. I like the word maniacal. Maniacal sense of urgency is the norm. Employees celebrate extreme efforts. 36-hour shifts described as psychopaths working together in the best way, which emphasize grit, hard, but we'll figure it out. Chaotic, fast moving. Only Tesla SpaceX days. Lots of breaking things to move quickly. It's very interesting. They have done a lot in just 1 year. So this is pretty cool. It was really interesting to see Sam Altman talk about it. Sam Altman was like, hey, Elon, you are my hero. I look up to you. So it's going to be interesting for OpenAI to compete with Grok. Wow. Okay. This has made something over here. Latest updates on Texas. Lead the US in economic momentum, population influx, tech innovation growth. Wow. Reclaimed the top spot on U-Haul's 2025 growth index. What? What is U-Haul growth index? Rental data show where people are moving to and from within the United States and Canada. Indexes in a government census or traditional economic statistic. It's built from millions of one-way U-Haul. Canada. Growth rank, arrival percentage. Wow. Migration trends. This is really cool. What is this? Washington number 6, Idaho number 8, California 50. Okay. Arizona number 7, Texas number 1, Pennsylvania, Maryland. This is New York, right? No. Where's New York? This is New York. No. This is New York? Oh, this is New York. Okay. Growth rank 47. Wow, so New York is going down. California is down. Texas is number 1. Florida is number 2. This is really cool. The U-Haul Growth Index. U-Haul Growth Index is a yearly ranking created by U-Haul that uses its own rental data to show where people are moving to and from within the United States and Canada. The index is in a government census or traditional economic statistic. It's built from millions of one-way U-Haul truck, trailer, and moving container transactions. One-way U-Haul truck, trailer, and moving container transactions that occur over a calendar year. Really cool.